maximizing your online business success with global tax optimization. Stephane! Welcome.
Correct. Thank you. Who here believe that optimizing your taxes is not that important? Okay, good. Who believe that is important? Nice. Who believe that it's very important? Nice. Optimizing your taxes is not very important. It's vital. Having your business optimized means that you won't face huge penalties, fines, or double taxation, and therefore you won't impact your runway, your savings. Having your taxes optimized for your business means that the money that you earn will pile, accumulate, and therefore get you closer to financial freedom. Some people think that when you run a business, it's going up, always up, with hard work, but always up. The reality is most likely that with a business, you'll go up, and then down, and up again, and down, and up. Optimizing your taxes, optimizing the taxes of your business, will allow you to face tough times, times of crisis where most people will die, but you'll still survive with the right, the right financial plan. Let me tell you the story of Romeo and Juliet and their tax adventure. So Romeo is a bank asset manager at a bank. Juliet is a content creator. Okay, that's a cliche. They meet in South Africa during the COVID time. They spend some time together, and they decide to quit their corporate job and to create a company together, a content creation platform. It's a blog, but that's how they call it. So they create that. They start making some money. Even before, once they see that they make some money, they start thinking, where can I incorporate? Where can we incorporate our business? They were most of the time in Portugal at the time, so they decide, let's do it in Portugal. We're in Portugal, then business in Portugal, that makes sense. A year later, or even 2 years later, because it's a real case, their blog gets millions of visitors per month. They start paying high taxes, 200,000 euros per year in taxes. I talk to Romeo and I tell him, maybe you should do something about this. He's like, oh no, you know, if I pay taxes, that means that I make money, so everything is fine. Everything works. The next year, they pay 500,000 euros in taxes. Still fine. And then, I don't know if some of you work in SEO, but you may know that Google changed their algorithm last year, and they saw a drastic impact on their business. They went from 2 million visitors per month to barely 40,000. And then the bloodbath started. They had to fire people. They still had tax installations based on the previous year, because the tax administration still considered that they had a lot of money. They thought about selling the business, and then they realized that they will pay a lot of taxes on their capital gains. A bloodbath. And it didn't have to be this way. In the meantime, Romeo quit the business, and Juliet is working again on a new start, refining her business model, and optimizing this time her setup. So to say, optimizing your taxes is important. So as I've been introduced, I'm Stephane. I'm co-founder and CEO of Heavnn. As you know, it's a global tax management platform. And I'm very happy today to talk to you about maximizing your business success with global tax optimization. So before we start, I just have a quick disclaimer. Just want to say that while we are tax experts at Heavnn, we are not your tax expert at the moment, which means that everything that I will present is for general information, but it's not adapted to your situation specifically. If you want to explore those topics, just make sure that you have the proper support for this. So that was the quick disclaimer, and that being said, let's start. So first, I want to talk to you about the benefits of an online business. But before even we start with that, what's an online business? An online business is basically a business that is online. Was an easy answer, right? So what does it mean concretely? So there are three categories of online businesses. It's important to understand how that works because it has actually tax consequences. So first category of online business is businesses oriented towards a digital product. So an app, an online course, a software. The second category of online business is remote services. So basically, you're a designer, you have a website, you do everything remote, you're an online business. And third category, I'm cheating here because it's not actually an online business, but tax-wise, that can work the same way. Those are the businesses that provide location-agnostic services. So, for example, an international coach doing coaching on Monday in France, on Tuesday in Italy, next month in the US. That can work the same way with some exceptions. So great. So now that we know what's an online business, what are the benefits of an online business? So there are 4 benefits. So first of all, access to a global market compared to the local market that you would access with a local business. The potential for scale, because your business is online, that also means that you have digital processes, digital solutions, streamlined processes, so it gives you more opportunity to scale. A designer working in person in one country versus a remote designer, the remote designer have much higher chances to scale their business. Also flexibility, not only in terms of hours, but also in terms of revenue models. Working with an online business allows you to explore different revenue models from subscription, paying upfront, pay-per-use, etc. And finally, freedom. Freedom, an online business allows you to fully access geo-arbitrage. That means being in a low-cost country, charging with strong currency, working on the time zone that you want, or even have a business set up to work 24/7 with the right team. So that's the beautiful picture of an online business. And there is nothing that can go wrong with that. There is one thing that can go wrong, is your setup to do that. How can we transform everything that I just explained into a nightmare? By having a remote, unfriendly setup, that's when you incorporated in a country, your business is incorporated in a country where you will need to visit often during the year, that doesn't have an electronic portal for administrative processes, and even sometimes that you need to have administrative processes performed in person. That's how you make your life a nightmare. Even more, you create your online business in a country where there is heavy compliance. So for example, Brazil, their regulation changes every 6 months or very often, and you always need to adapt your business to that with new processes, a new portal, a new form, and basically you drain your resources trying to face that. Of course, high taxes on revenues. You incorporate in Germany or in France. Good luck. And heavy taxation at exit. That means that you didn't even manage what will happen tax-wise once you sell your business or decide to wind down the business. But as you know now, I'm here because it doesn't have to be that way. And what we're going to do is see how can you design a personalized tax optimization plan. So there are some prerequisites for a personalized optimization plan. First is to know your goals. Knowing your goals business-wise and also in terms of financials. So business-wise, when you think about incorporating a business, are you thinking about a business that will scale and become very big? Are you talking about a lifestyle business? Are you talking about contracting with a few big companies? Second, the financial goals. Is your goal to save money so that you can cash out later? Is your goal to invest and basically grow your assets? Or is it simply to improve your lifestyle? Talking about lifestyle, sorry. You need to know your lifestyle preferences as well. What type of location-independent workers are you? Are you a digital nomad, hopping here and there very fast without a specific base? Are you slow nomads, hopping here and there but a little bit slower? An expat relocating somewhere, a business traveler is having a base but traveling very often. This is important to understand what is your lifestyle, what are the countries that you would consider. And finally, understanding your business constraints. This is something that we see very often. That means that you run your business, but what are the constraints when you're about to incorporate it concretely? Do you have constraints from your clients? Are your clients requiring that you have an entity in Europe? Or do you need to be in Asia? Do you have multiple clients in the US? And then therefore you have to comply with the US law. All of this you need to know that before starting your setup. So concretely about designing your ideal setup. So stay with me because it looks complicated, but it's not. So 2 types of taxation to be balanced, first of all. That's the starting point of your designing the right setup. First of all, you should take into account your whereabouts and personal tax residency. That means how your revenues will be taxed at a personal level. And second, the taxation of your business revenues. That means the revenues coming directly from your business activity. For this, using the list that you prepared before in terms of lifestyle, in terms of countries, you'll be able to qualify each of the possible choices that you have. Because the goal is not that you go to Cayman Islands to optimize, right? You want to optimize while being in a country that you like. So basically, taking the list of countries that you can live in, you will have to ask yourself the question, are the taxes low there in terms of rates? If the answer is no, do I, in my specific situation, benefit from tax breaks, tax deductions, or anything specific? If the answer is no, to the both questions, you're considering to be a personal tax resident in hell, tax-wise. If the answer is yes, it's heaven. Same at the level of the business revenues. When you consider your business constraints, that means, do my clients require me to be in Europe? Do they require my business to be incorporated in the UK or in the US? Taking that into account, the next question will be, can I benefit from a low tax rate in those countries? If the answer is no, do I have tax reductions, tax breaks that can apply? If the answer is no for both questions, same thing, you're about to incorporate your business in hell. Otherwise, it's heaven. And I will tell you a little bit more about how the concept of hell, heaven will work in the design of the scenario. But before, you need to know something else, which is that there are 2 types of companies to be balanced when it comes to your setup. So the two types of companies are opaque entities. That means entities that are limited liability and that we pay taxes on their own, in the country where they are based. And we have transparent entities, or that we call also passing through, that will basically be about sending the revenues to you directly. So the revenues that you make, your business revenues, will be taxable between your hands. So that's the very important part to understand. So now that we know that, the different taxation, the different type of companies, let's see how do we design a good setup. So if we start from the left of this figure, if you have a high taxation in a country and you have tax breaks, as I explained, it is heaven. in terms of personal taxes, if we talk about personal taxes, or in terms of corporate tax, if we talk about, if you consider your corporate tax liability. If you consider a country that has low taxes and tax breaks, it's even better. Basically, you pay 0% taxes and you're in heaven. If you're based there from a personal as a personal tax resident or as your business. The problem will come when you consider a country that has high taxes without tax breaks. In that case, if it's your personal tax residency we're talking about, you're personally in hell. And what you don't want is to pay to pay taxes in hell. So that would mean, for example, that if you have a company incorporated in one country, you know that you're personally in hell, you absolutely don't want a transparent type of entity. Otherwise, you will pay taxes, high taxes, basically, on your business revenues. If this is the opposite, that means that you personally live in hell, but your company is incorporated in heaven, or you have the option for that, you want an opaque type of company so that you're taxable, basically so that your revenues are protected from heavy taxation. So once we said that, let's see a concrete example, because I've been talking about hell, heaven, etc. Let's see how that works. So same thing, real case. We have a case before optimization. So this is a podcast producer. He earns about 100,000 euros, not dollars, euros per year. He's a tax resident in the Netherlands, and he started his business in the Netherlands. Logical, while he travels. In terms of yearly taxes paid, he is at 55,000 euros per year. This represents 275,000 euros in taxes over 5 years. He decided to take action, because in any case he's traveling around, so he thought, I'm a nomad, so let's do something about it. With the same salary, after optimization, first he changed residency, he went to Italy. Italy is hell in terms of taxes, but he doesn't have a choice because he has personal reasons to move to Italy. But he incorporated his company in Estonia, which in his case, and I'm not saying that it works for everyone, but in his case was heaven. So with that setup, he was able to reduce his taxation level by 853%, which represents 48,000 euros saving per year. Over 5 years, that represents 240,000 euros. Cherry on the cake on this presentation of how everything works, some pitfalls to avoid. First of all, first pitfall, avoid one-size-fits-all setups. Like my friend does that, or many people do that, so I will incorporate a company in the UK and then go to Cayman Islands. No, it's better not to do that, because a setup needs to be individualized, as you saw, based on your specific needs. So it's important to do this analysis and just not take something that is ready-made. Starting too late. If you have a business, the best time to start optimizing was yesterday. The earlier you do it, the more savings you will accumulate on top of having a business growing and gaining in credibility, because you'll have this setup in place for a while. Other pitfalls to avoid, the perpetual traveler myth. It's a myth that doesn't exist. That means that people say, if you stay less than 6 months in most countries, then you don't pay taxes. I mean, that sounds great, but that's not true. The thing is, when you think like this, maybe you won't receive the results straight away, but you're at risk first of back taxes when you go back home to your original country, your home country. Second, you have risk of double taxation. And on top of that, with different countries that you would visit, and on top of that, you're excluded from the system, so you cannot get a mortgage because you don't have a tax certificate. You cannot get in financial operation with any regulated entity because you're not part of the system. So it's basically a lot of downsizes, what you can just have a right setup, optimized, legal, that works, as we saw earlier. And finally, not accounting for the cost to create and maintain your setup. That means it's great to create a company, but it's important to think also about how we're going to manage this setup. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about next. I told you the theory behind having your strategy, so now let's see how you set up a business. So same thing, key considerations. I think it's pretty straightforward, but it's important to have the details in mind, especially if you're starting. You have 3 steps to consider to properly start a setup. So the business registration itself, so having the legal paperwork done, article of association, shareholder agreement, etc. Then the maintenance of the business, so you create your company, but you still need to maintain it. And finally, the remote tech stack. So I think there are better people than me to talk about the remote tech stack, even if it's super important to have an effective tech stack, but we focus on the business registration and the maintenance of the business. So in terms of general cost of incorporating, I included this in my presentation because I see very often that people think that you just pay $300 to the local government and you have a company. So there are actually more costs to be taken into account. So there are the government fees for sure. I'm presenting an average. It changes country to country. You may need some legal and consultancy fees if you have some specific questions regarding your specific type of business. You need a registered agent fees, especially if you're not living in the country of incorporation of your business. Basically, I'm showing you the list here. We won't go into details. The goal is not that you leave this room knowing exactly, okay, I need this and that, but just to have an idea that there is a checklist behind creating your incorporating your business, and there are costs to be taken into account. In terms of maintaining your online business, there are also costs that are important to keep in mind. First of all, I won't follow the order of the table, but your legal representation, if you don't live in the country where your business is incorporated, you will need to have a legal representative there. This is also a cost to take into account. Afterwards, the bookkeeping, accounting, and everything that is ongoing compliance, monthly, VAT, sales tax, etc. I will do a quick comparison because a quick comparison just so that you know that it's important to take into account. We have many people who say, yeah, let's go to Dubai, we won't pay taxes. Setup in Dubai on average costs between 4,000 euros if you do it very cheap, up to 17,000 euros to get implemented. As we saw with the example that I showed you with the concrete case, you can get a setup in Estonia with super high efficiency, and it costs 3 times less than Dubai. So it's also something important to consider, the cost of the setup, and not just go to the most expensive one, as you have cheaper options around. I'm arriving at the end of my presentation. Just want to take one step back before wrapping up. I explained basically how to optimize your taxes or how to create your personal tax optimization plan. But it's important to take some perspective around that. Basically, when we talk about financial freedom, financial success, or everything, there are 3 simple steps to consider. First step is making money. So how do you make money efficiently? How do you leverage your edge, your personal touch to make as much money as possible? The second step is to keep the money that you earn. So basically, many people know how to make money, but lose it straight away. So the goal is to keep the money. It's a strategy. It's a mindset. It's not just something that everyone do. And finally, once you manage to make money, keep the money, then grow it. And that's what I want to quickly tell you about. So how do you maximize your business success with global tax optimization? Is by using the money that you save to improve your growth, to reinvest in your growth, fine-tuning your product, marketing, etc. Establishing financial resilience with an emergency fund in case of crisis. Diversifying your investments. As was explained before, I won't even try to challenge what was just explained, and very well explained. And finally, exploring expansion opportunities. once you get enough savings, investing in a new business, buying another business, creating a different line of product. So with that said, I wish you a lot of success. I'm very happy to see you, and I'm here if you have any questions.
Hello, thank you very much. So as a general rule, do you have to pay double taxes in the country where your business is incorporated and in the residence country?
You mean if you have a personal...
If you're based in a different... If your business is based in a different country and you live in a different country, so you spend more than 6 months living abroad.
So I wouldn't call that double taxes, but I see what you mean. That means that when you have your business incorporated somewhere, you will need to pay the taxes in this country. And at a personal level, you may need to pay taxes on the revenues that you receive as well. So the goal of the game is to optimize, make sure that you don't pay too much taxes at the corporate level, or even zero, depending on the structure, and also optimize at the personal level. But those are two separate taxation to take into account. They can either be both very high. You can pay 25% corporate tax, send the money to you, and then pay 25% personal tax. That's what happened to many people. Or you can have the opposite way and have both optimized.
Thank you.
Just, oh. My question is, can you share with us like the top 5 Heavnn tax countries to live? So we know where we're going next.
We get this question very often. And the thing is, I mean, I can tell you the best countries are easy. You go to Cayman Islands, to Dubai, but the thing is, it's what's difficult is that if you make a choice only related to taxes, at some point you pay a huge price in terms of lifestyle. And we had that. I mean, we adapted our product not to send people to places. I mean, they say, yeah, I want to go there for tax reasons. We prefer to optimize with a place like Italy and then still get you a nice setup than sending you somewhere that you may be unhappy with. So it depends on, for example, if you're an engineer, you may have tax advantages in Uruguay, you may have tax advantages in Portugal as well. So it depends on your specific profile, the types of business that you want to incorporate. So I would encourage case-by-case approach, but if you want direct answer, you go to Dubai, you go to Cayman Island, Panama. So those are the easy answers. But do you really want to live there?
Yeah, Panama sounds good.
It's not on.
Just out of interest, where is your own company incorporated? I know the answer, but I just wanted to.
So we're incorporated in Estonia. Yes. Yeah, it works very well. But because we are changing, you know, we talked about knowing your needs in terms of business. Because our needs are evolving, we are also thinking about flipping the company. So to always stay aligned with our current business goals. So that's why we always recommend to monitor how are your goals going, and then make sure that you have a setup that is adapted.
Thank you very much for your presentation, very timely in my case. We're noticing with digital nomads increasing that a lot of countries, like Australia's just done, are going to tax based on, you know, I'm a citizen of Australia, therefore I must pay tax there first, which is the US model, hasn't been applied until recently in other countries. Do you have any kind of insights or suggestions in terms of, you know, the places to go to and getting the second passport options for what might happen in that case?
I mean, before getting a second passport, because getting a second passport would mean renouncing the citizenship in Australia, right? Before that, there are already possibilities to optimize while keeping your residency. your citizenship. So we do that with the Americans. They are the hardest cases because we need to manage double taxation, both the US and where they are personal tax resident. For Australia, we wait to see. I'm not sure that this will actually get to a concrete adoption. But in that case, we would first see how can we optimize the taxes using the tax rules in Australia. In terms of second passport, we are not going into this kind of optimization because it's going pretty far. But if, let's say, there is no option, it's not like the US, there is no possibility to find tax breaks while having a tax based on nationality, that may definitely be something that that can be considered.
One question, actually, on digital nomad visas or financially independent permits. What are the risks that your company would have a permanent establishment in that country and then you would have to be taxed in that country in terms of the corporate taxation?
You mean if you have a digital nomad visa?
Yeah, yeah.
So the risks are not suppressed, they remain. So basically, even if you have a digital nomad visa to stay a limited period of time in Costa Rica or in Spain without having taxes, if you stay the full year there and operate your business fully there while having your business incorporated somewhere else, you will trigger permanent establishment. So the digital nomad visa doesn't remove this risk, so this also needs to be managed on the side.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.